The date is May 19th, 1984. The Edmonton Oilers and Wayne Gretzky have just won the Stanley Cup Final. July 9th, in the year 2000. Serena and Venus Williams win Wimbledon doubles. June 21st, 2012. LeBron James and the Miami Heat defeat the Oklahoma City Thunder to win the NBA Finals. And finally, on December 18th, 2022, Lionel Messi leads Argentina over France to win the World Cup. All four of these examples and these groups of players have exactly one thing in common. It was their first championship. Today's date, July 13th, 2024. Let's see if we can join them. And it's Arcanine PC. We're by far the greatest team that the world has ever seen. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? You can call me Kai Guy. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome to you. I am your coach of the Arcanine Pokemon Club. That is Arcanine PC for short. And we are here, guys. I don't know how we did it, but we're here in the finals of the NBA. We are officially in finals. If we win this match, we're the champions, baby. So it's all on the line here. We're gonna try our best. We're going to be taking on Stormtide. They got a very, very cool, scary, and interesting team. I'll make sure I got a picture on screen for you guys so you can kind of follow along and all that cool stuff. So, yeah, let's just kind of jump into their picks, break down the team I chose, break down their potential brings, and then the battle will follow. I know it's the championship, but I honestly don't really have that much to say besides, like, if you guys have really been enjoying the Draft League content, make sure to leave a like on this and definitely subscribe if y'all are new around here and enjoying it because it really helps me out a ton. And lets me know that you're enjoying the Draft League content. It makes me want to keep doing it. So, I'd really appreciate if you could help me out with that. But, enough shameless plugging aside. Let's jump right into Stormtide's team. See what they could possibly bring against us this week. Their team is Alolan Ninetales, Hippowdon, Politoed, Mega Charizard Y, Kilowattrel, Hisuian Quillfish, which is one of their Terra Captains, Castform, Walking Wake, Excadrill, Roserade, and Arctovish. So, looking at their team, your first thing you might notice is they have all forms of weather. Of weather. Fiora, no baby, no. No ma'am. No ma'am. They have all four forms of weather being snow, sun, rain, and sand. And they have a Pokemon that can take advantage of all of them as well. For example, the Arctovish gets Slush Rush thanks to Alolan Ninetales' Snow. The Sand Rush Excadrill gets set up thanks to the Hippowdon Sandstream. Walking Wake can be a threat in both Sun and Rain thanks to Sun boosted Hydro Steams as well as Rain boosting its normal water type attacks. And then same thing with Roserade as well. It has the opportunity to be a Sun Sweeper as well as Kilowattrel being a Rain Sweeper. And then there's Castform, which can take advantage of everything except for Sand because Game Freak never gave it one. So we have to prepare for 4 different kinds of weather that we could potentially be seeing this week. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what Stormtide's gonna bring. I don't know what they're thinking. It's kind of a meme team, but is it a meme team if it works? I don't think so. They've made this team work very, very well and, like, performed insanely well considering that there isn't really synergy between a lot of the Pokemon, but honestly, that's okay. Like, they don't really need synergy a lot. Like, they're making it work without synergy between the 4 main weather setters. The 4 main weather setters are kind of doing their own thing, and then they're passing along the synergy to the backup mons. Like, you could argue until the cows come home that the 4 weather is improbable. It doesn't seem like it would work. Stormtide's had a pretty respectable season. They're in the finals, so, like, taking nothing away from them. They definitely deserve to be here. They put in the work. They made this meme team work, and it's kind of heat. Like, it's kind of cool to check out. But as for what they could bring, I think that something like the Walking Wake looks really good into my team. I think Roserade's potential bring, especially if it's like Weather Ball, because that kind of does work to my team a little bit. I don't really think Kilowattrel comes because I think Frederick kind of just shuts that down unless it's running Weather Ball in the rain. Mega Charizard seems like a good bring, so I definitely want Hazards to handle that. Hippowdon looks pretty good. Honestly, like I said, this matchup is a nightmare to prep for. Like, I don't know what else you want. It's a nightmare. Like, 4 different kinds of weather, all sorts of different weather sweepers, 2 Terra Captains in the Arctovish and the Hisuian Quillfish that you have no idea what they're going to be doing. It's just a nightmare to prepare for, dude. So hopefully we can... Hopefully I've planned this out well enough to be able to do this properly. So we shall see about that. But let's go ahead and jump into the team that we're going to bring in. The Pokemon, the movesets, all of that cool stuff. Starting, of course, with our team captain, Lucina the Seasonal. Holding the normal gem with Unburden, and the moves Fake Out, Close Combat, Poison Jab, U-Turn. This is mainly to combat the Excadrill, because the Excadrill is going to get a +2 boost to its speed in Sand. Excadrill has base 88 speed, which I believe caps it at 302, I want to say. So we are running 304 speed, because if that thing gets set up in Sand with like an SD or something, or whatever, we can then bring in Sneasler, go for our normal gem boosted Fake Out on it to stall out some Sand turns, and also double our speed, thanks to the Unburden ability, and then pick it off with Close Combat and shut down its potential sweep. So that is kind of going to be Sneasler's main goal here, is shut down that sweep. We need to make sure that happens. So because of that, I have that normal gem here to boost my Fake Out and activate my Unburden. Because we are guaranteed to outspeed any and all forms of Excadrill if they are in Sand Rush. So it is just kind of like my way of dealing with this Excadrill. It might end up biting me in the butt that I don't have Sword Stance on this thing, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. But yeah, so Fake Out normal gem there to chip down the Excadrill and also get ahead of it in Sand, be faster than it. Close Combat is there for big damage into stuff like the Excadrill, the Walking Wake, the Arctovish, all that cool stuff. Poison Jab does good damage to the Kilowattrel, the Alola Ninetales, the Mega Charizard Y, all that cool jazz. And then U-Turn is kind of just here for momentum, keeping that up a little bit and bringing in my more bulky mons as they switch in something like a counter, such as the Hisuian Quillfish, which could end up running like Intimidate as a defensive set because it kind of shuts down Sneasler a decent amount. But that's why we're running U-Turn there. So max attack on this thing, Adamant 252, being as powerful as we possibly can. With the HP stat that we're rocking, we get a little bit more bulk, and then like I said, 112 speed is to guaranteed outspeed an Excadrill in Sand, because that thing hits 302 speed where we'll be hitting 304. So we'll be able to guarantee outspeed that as well. So that could be very, very nice soon. So that's Sneasler this week. Next up, we got Linhardt, our Slowking, holding the leftovers with Regenerator, and the moves Chilly Reception, Toxic, Dragon Tail, Power Gem. So, with Slowking this week, Chilly Reception, of course, is to just get the heck out, activate our Regenerator, activate our lefties, and be gone. Make sure we're getting as much healing off as we possibly can, while also being able to set the snow for somebody like Kyurem, who's coming up afterwards, and changing one of Stormtide's weather. Yes, they do have ways around it because they have the other 3 forms being Sun, Rain, and Sand, but maybe we don't want the Charizard to get Sun-boosted Weather Balls or Flamethrowers or Fire Blast, whatever it's running. So we go for Chilly Reception, and now it no longer has those. Same thing if it has, like, Solar Beam. Now it can't charge up its Solar Beam in 1 turn, so that's pretty good for me. Pretty sure my cat's being an idiot. Don't know if you caught that on the microphone or not, but that's cool. But then it also passes off momentum to the rest of our team. Toxic is there for chip damage on something like the Hippowdon, something like the Politoed, the Walking Wake even, if we catch that on a switch-in. Dragon Tail is mainly there for the Pokemon that want to try and set up, or also to get rid of other Pokemon that might be annoying. So, like, for example, if, like, they bring in the Charizard Y on us to set up the Sun to weaken our Water-type moves, if we Dragon Tail it out while Stealth Rocks are up and he has no way to remove those, it's taking a guaranteed 50% when it comes back in. We can also catch something like the Hippowdon on a switch-in, or maybe even the Rose Raid. Just basically Dragon Tail is kind of here to just, like, flip them on out, make sure they're taking a little bit of extra hazard damage, because we do have a couple of different hazards this week, so hopefully we can make those work. And then Power Gem is mainly for Charizard Y, just to chunk it down a little bit. Because Power Gem into Toxic guaranteed does half, so plus the Stealth Rocks, it will die and everything, so it is probably in our best interest to try and make sure we can chip that down, because that thing could be a very late game cleaner that scares the living daylights out of me, which I'd like to avoid. Max HP, max Def on this thing to make sure we can eat up as many hits from the Walking Wake, the Mega Charizard Y, the Kilowattrel if it comes, but I doubt it. Make sure we can eat as many of those hits as possible. So that's going to be Linhardt this week. Next up is Rhea, our Kyurem, holding the loaded dice with pressure and the moves Substitute, Dragon Dance, Icicle Spear, and Scale Shot. So basically, if the Ninetales is gone, this thing goes stupid. Like, actually so stupid. It kind of just rips through their team. Like, Icicle Spear does a ton at +1 to Mega Charizard Y. Same thing with Excadrill. I don't think Walking Wake's going to want to take a Scale Shot. I don't think Hiptalon's going to want to take an Icicle Spear. Kilowattrel doesn't want to take an Icicle Spear. Roserade doesn't want to take an Icicle Spear. This thing goes stupid. It actually goes completely stupid into their team. And with our loaded dice item, we're guaranteed to be able to get at least 4 hits. Granted, as long as we hit our Scale Shots, because that move has 95% accuracy, I think. Or it might even be 90, is it? It is 90. We missed those. But Substitute is here to kind of set up on something that maybe doesn't want to be in on us. So if we chilly out in the Kyurem, we can set up a free sub, especially if something like the Ninetales is gone. Get our little D-Dances going, all that cool stuff. We got the Icicle Spear, like I said, for big damage, sitting with Scale Shot, rocking a max attack Kyurem with a little bit of HP and 200 speed with a Jolly Nature. I believe this 303 speed is also for the Excadrill, I want to say. It might be for Roserade, now that I think about it. I can't remember, because I think it is for Roserade, actually. I think it's for Roserade. That makes more sense because we're base 95. I don't know. It might be Roserade. It might be Excadrill. I'm not really sure which one it was for. But we only guarantee outspeed it, so that is a plus. So that is going to be Kyurem that this week. Next up is Catherine, the Mega Manectric, with the Static ability. Why am I running that? Normally I'm running Lightning Rod. That's a shame. I didn't mean to put Agility there just now, so it was supposed to be Volt Switch. So holding the Manectite with Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Toxic. Yes, again, Kaya's running this because it's honestly so good. So the reason we're running this moveset is it's broken. It's so good. I love my fast electric types, y'all know. Volt Switch is there for momentum. He does have multiple ground types as well as a possible Volt Absorb immunity in the Kilowattrel, but that's why we've got Toxic to be able to pick those off. And if he does bring in something like the Excadrill, we do have Flamethrower for that as well. T-Ball is there to do big damage to the Mega Charizard Y, the Walking Wake, the Politoed, all that cool stuff. Flamethrower also does good damage to the Ninetales, the Excadrill, the Roserade, all that. And then Toxic is there to kind of chunk down things like the Walking Wake, like the Mega Charizard, the Ninetales, Hippowdon, all of the fun things. We are rocking a little bit of HP with max special attack and a decent amount of speed, being 176 with a Timid Nature this week. This guarantees we outspeed a Kilowattrel, because Kilowattrel hits 125 base speed, and when we Mega Evolve, hit 135. So after Mega Evolution, we'll be guaranteed outspeeding everything on his team, barring any choice Scarfers. So that is pretty nice. And of course, like, barring any weather and stuff, so we gotta keep that in mind too. But that is going to be Catherine this week, being able to be the speediest thing on the field, barring any Scarfers, and being able to get off some big, big, big damage. Next up, we have Saber the Scissor, holding the leftovers with Technician, and the moves Roost, U-Turn, Defog, and Bullet Punch. So, plan for Scissor this week is to kind of be a physically defensive threat to something like a Swords Dance, Scizor, or excuse me, Excadrill, Dragon Dance, Walking Wake. That's why we're rocking the Terra Water. Also something like the Arctivish if they're like physically offensive and don't have Freeze Dry. Basically here to be a good physically defensive threat. Roost is there to heal itself up. Defog to get rid of the opponent's hazards, and also get rid of the Ninetales potential, what's it called? Aurora Veil, because I don't really want to deal with that. U-Turn for momentum, Bullet Punch to also do good damage to something like the Ninetales, do chip damage to stuff like the Kilowattrel, like the Excadrill, all that cool stuff. Mainly, Scissor's main job is to keep healthy, defog away hazards and Veil, and also keep up momentum with U-Turn. But a little Bullet Punch to pick off the little Ninetales could be very nice. And we're rocking the max HP, max defense with an Impish Nature. Tiny little bit of attack. We don't really need it, but whatevs. But that is going to be Saber this week. And finally, one of our other MVPs of the season, because I really need the extra defensive backbone, is Frederick the Ting Lu, holding the leftovers with Vessel of Ruin, and the moves Stealth Rock, Spikes, Ruination, Rock Slide. So this is kind of here to be our go-to hazard setter. We're also being able to eat up specially defensive, specially garnered hits from something like the Kilowattrel, or even something like the Rose Raid or the Mega Charizard. Thanks to our Vessel of Ruin, we'll be able to eat up a little bit of extra hits than we normally would. Stealth Rock and Spikes are there to get up some hazards, especially for the Mega Charizard Y, getting the rocks up, making it take a guaranteed 50% every single time it comes in, because it cannot be holding a single item, because it has to be holding its Mega Stone and everything. So it can't hold heavy-duty boots, so it'll be guaranteed taking 50%. Spikes are there to do good damage into like the something like the Excadrill, the Walking Wake, the Alolan Ninetales if it's not running boots as well. Ruination to chunk things down, get a guaranteed 50% off of those, and then Rock Slide is mainly here for the Charizard Y. If it stays in Solar Beams me, I can go for a Rock Slide, and it has a pretty good shot to KO. Like, Tinglu's not the most powerful Pokemon in the world, but it's a 4 times weakness, and Charizard Y doesn't have great physical bulk. So hopefully we can be able to catch that thing off a guard. That would be nice. But Tinglu's main role here is to be specially defensive, set hazards, all of that cool jazz. So that's going to be Frederick this week. That is going to be your team for the Arcanine Pokemon Club in the NBA Finals. Make sure you guys let me know down in the comments. What was your favorite moment of the season? What was your favorite team member? What Pokemon do you like that I brought this week? What Pokemon do you think is going to put in the most work? All of that cool stuff. Make sure you guys let me know that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the season overall. And I hope you will be cheering on your Arcanine Pokemon Club, your Arcanine PC, in the finals of the NBA as we take on Stormtide. I think that's all for my rambling, you guys. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the battle. So I will see you guys in just a moment. Alright, we are back. We got all linked up with Stormtide, had the battle. As I've alluded to on my streams, this battle has already happened, but I wasn't going to spoil anything about who won or anything. I didn't want any spoilers. I wanted it to be like genuine reactions for you guys to see who won this match and stuff. So, yep, hopefully we end up picking up the Dubski. So looking at Stormtide's team, they've brought the Alolan Ninetales, the Hisuian Quillfish, the Hippowdon, the Excadrill, the Walking Wake, and the Charizard Y. No Rose Raid is honestly really good, because that thing terrifies me. I'm very happy that's not here. Looking at the rest of their team potential leads, I was thinking maybe could lead the Ninetales to just get the Veil up immediately. Also potentially could be like the Hippowdon to set up Stealth Rocks, or the Quillfish to set up Spikes or something. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, thinking about all those potential leads, the best possible lead for me then would be my Scizor. Because I'll be guaranteed able to outspeed everything, or not outspeed everything, but I'll be guaranteed able to either Bullet Punch the Ninetales, or get off a U-turn, or a Defog off turn 1 on the Hippowdon or the Quillfish. So that's kind of my thought process. So I'm going to lead Scizor here. As we see, that is the worst potential lead we could have done, because they actually with the Mega Charizard Y. Love the nicknames, by the way. Love the nickname, by the way. General Iroh, love it. And of course, we see in the chat, we got Grand Finals hype from everybody. Let's go, dude. So this is the worst possible scenario for me. It kind of blows. It kind of really, really blows. So thinking about what they could possibly go for, they clearly should go for a Weather Ball here. If they are a pro player and they just like turn 1 Toxic me or turn 1 like Solar Beam me, they got me good. I have to bring in my Slowking here. I have to. As we see, they are going to Mega Evolve, set up the Sun, and they're going to go for the Weather Ball. So they make the smart play, not probably the quote-unquote right play. But if they stayed in on me and just if they went for Solar Beam on me, that would just be the biggest misplay ever. If I stayed in with Scizor, which like I never was going to do, but still. So we see that Weather Ball does about 21%, so not a ton of damage. Slowking is going to be able to get that up thanks to its leftovers. We're going to be able to be a nice and solid 85%, I believe. Yep, 85. So we don't know if this thing has the Solar Beam yet, but I see an opportunity to hit the Charizard, and I want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just click a nice little Power Gem here. As we see, he's got the Toxic, which is fine. I fully expected this thing to have, like, some form of, like, or I fully expected the team to have some form of, like, statusing and stuff. I didn't think Toxic Spikes on Quillfish was likely just because we have Sneasler to absorb those. But spreading around a little bit of Toxic, making it a support Charizard Y is a good call on their part. It was a good bring. We're going to go for the Power Gem, and we see we do a solid 48%, so it probably has a little bit of bulk. Because I think with our spread, I think if it doesn't have any bulk, this does do over half. So a little bit of a shame that we're not able to pick up the 2-hit KO there, but I think that's okay. We see we're going to get a little bit of lefties back, take a little bit of Toxic, but we can just freely Chili out here. As we see, he is going to Roost. So I can get my Chili up here, bring in probably my Manectric to get off a nice powerful Volt Switch on this thing, which he cannot stay in on. And I'm getting Slowking back to full thanks to my Regenerator. As we see, Catherine comes in. We're able to get our Regenerate off on our Slowking, and we're able to get our Mega off on our Manectric very early, which is good, because now, once again, bargaining choice Scarf is we are the fastest thing on the field. So he is going to swap out into his Hippowdon, as, like, obviously, like, I know by now, people are going to bring in their ground types on my Manectric. It's just the way things go. So, obviously, right here, I'm going to go ahead and click the Toxic. I just have to. So we see now that the Hippowdon is on a timer, which is really good for me. I need this thing to get as low as possible for Sneasler as well as for Kyurem. Both of those are very, very nice for me. So I'm going to pull a hard switch right here. I think I end up either going into the Kyurem or the... I do go the Kyurem here. Thinking like, okay, depending on what he wants to do here, I can kind of just sub up on this guy. Excuse me. Although maybe going for something like an Icicle Spear would have been a better play because he does kind of have a free swap into the Ninetales. But getting a sub out I didn't think was a bad idea. We are going to be taking a little bit of extra sand damage, which I don't particularly like. And we are heavy-duty boots and not leftovers, so we won't be able to get our HP back to go and have Roost. Because we're sub DD, we're sub DD, Scale Shot, and Icicle Spear. He brings in the Ninetales here, switches the weather, which makes it a good play on his part. As I go for the sub, 69% nice. So right here I'm thinking, okay, he brought this in really quickly. Like, obviously it's a good counter to Kyurem. But what if he's also got the Encore here, and I cannot risk that. I cannot risk him going for Encore, because if he does, he's kind of just going to get up a free Veil and everything from there. So I'm actually going to pull a hard switch right here. I pull a hard switch right here into my Scizor. As we see, he is going to just go ahead and go right for the Moonblast. So I'm thinking then he probably does not have the Encore, which is good for me. Because that means my subs and my DDs are a little bit more free. Unless he really just wanted to pop my sub turn 1, which like he very well could have. He's going to swap into his Quillfish here, as I'm going to go ahead and get a nice little defog off, get rid of his hazards. Went for that in case he also decided to just throw away his Ninetales and step an Aurora Veil. So that way we could get it gone and then pick it off next turn with the Bullet Punch. He's going to bring in the Quillfish, as we're going to go ahead and go for the U-turn on that. And we see he is going to get a good amount of damage done there. We can freely bring in our Manectric right here as on the Quillfish. Volt is kind of just freeing their team if they want to go Walking Wake, if they want to go Hippowdon, if they want to go Excadrill, that's fine, because I can just freely just hard switch or even Flamethrower next turn, so we're chilling. We see that they are going to go ahead and pull a hard switch right here into the Hippowdon, so good play on their part. I am going to obviously Volt Switch, I have to. It's immune, so obviously it's not going to do anything, but what's good for me is it's going to be taking Toxic damage, which I really, really like to see. But now my switch-in is clearly my Scizor here, as they actually end up making a very good play and go for the Whirlwind here. And unfortunately for me, I end up getting Manectric, which kind of blows. I don't particularly like that. We get a nice Intimidate off, and he is taking more Toxic damage, which is nice. So I guess the positive of him going for a Whirlwind is that, like, yes, I lose a little bit of chip damage, but this thing getting chunked down is so good for Sneasler. So I need that thing to get as chunked down as possible. So I'm going to bring in my Slowking right here, take a little bit of spike damage just fine. He's going to slack off and get his HP back, so smart play on his part. But again, that poison damage is going to add up and add up and add up and add up. So we like that. He's going to pull a little hard switch into his Walking Wake here, so I'm going to go ahead and Chilly out into my Manectric. So right here I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be safe right here. I'm going to scout to make sure this thing is not... I'm going to scout to see if they stay in, because if they stay in right here, more than likely Choice Scarf on the Walking Wake. So I'm going to pull a double right here into my Slowking again. As we see, they do end up staying in and going for the Hydro Steam, which gives me a good indication, probably Choice Scarf. More than likely, they are Choice Scarf on the Walking Wake. So that is good information to have. So we see here that they are not going to stay in. They're going to go ahead and bring in their Ninetales, as I'm going to go ahead and just get a Toxic off on that thing, which is nice for me. But unfortunately for me here, the Ninetales, as we're going to see, is going to pack the Heal Bell. So that means that this thing and this thing now no longer have to worry about their poisons. Very, very good bring on my opponent's part. I had no idea this thing got Heal Bell. That's kind of heat, actually. Support Alola Ninetales is just so good. Between a Veil, between Encore, between Heal Bell, it's so good. It's so, so, so good. I'm going to go ahead and Chilly out right here, bring in my Scizor, and Roost is kind of just free because there's no universe he should stay in against the Scizor. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Scizor in right here, heal myself back up to full. Oh, actually, no, I go for Defog here. Maybe a little bit of a misplay, but oh well, whatever. I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to get rid of his spikes here, heal a little bit of lefties, and then I'm going to Roost right there. As we see, he's going to set his rocks, and the war for rocks begins. Because I'm going to just go ahead and click Defog again. As we see, his play is to go ahead and click EQ on me. I don't really mind very much. But now I can just freely go for U-turn on this thing, which does reveal his item, which is good to know. He is Rocky Helmet on the Hippowdon, which is good to know for me. And I'm going to bring in my Q-Room right here, as I'm assuming he's going to set the Stealth Rocks again, which he is. So honestly, right now, my play is just either can click sub, or I can go for the Icicle Spear on what I'm assuming will be the Katara, the Alola Ninetales. I do go for the Icicle Spear, and this thing taking chip damage is also really good for me, especially if we can get 5 hits. We only get 4, but 4 hits is still pretty damn good. This thing getting weakened is really, really good for me, because it means that Kyurem in the back can, like, eventually take it down and be good to go. So my switch in here is pretty obvious. Like, it's just got to be Scizor, like, 100%. If he wants to Moonblast me, that's fine. As you see, he's going to set the Veil. I'm just like, well, I want that gone. I don't want that to be around. So I'm going to defog that away and his Stealth Rocks, which is good for me. Because I'm a Steel type still, I haven't Terra Watered yet. I can just freely go ahead and Roost back up to full. And he is going to reset his Rock, which is fine by me. I don't particularly care very much. I can just defog those away immediately. And we see he's going to slack off, get back to full, and the War for Rocks is still ongoing. My play right here is to go for U-turn. I am going to take a little bit more Rocky Helmet, but that is fine. Kyurem just comes right back in for free, and I'm assuming another Stealth Rock, so I don't think he's going to EQ me. And the process repeats. The process kind of just repeats. I'm taking a little bit of sand damage, which is not fun. But he's going to obviously bring in the Alola Ninetales here, as I'm going to go ahead and go for my Icicle Spear, which this time we see that we get the Alola Ninetales below half, and we do get the 5 hits that time, which is very nice for me. Again, this thing getting low is so good for my team. It's so good for my team. Once again, my play is just bring in Scizor. As we see, he's going to Moonblast. That's fine by me. I don't particularly mind. Special attack drop does not really matter. I'm going to heal myself back up a little bit. He's going to bring in Hippowdon once again, and the war continues, chat. But I'm going to go ahead and Roost back up, heal myself back to full, and get these rocks gone. As we see, he's going to go ahead and click the EQ. Does not particularly matter very much. I'm going to easily be able to get that HP back. And then I'm going to Roost up right here. As we see, his play is just to Whirlwind me out. And I get a lucky Whirlwind right here as the Kyurem ends up getting brought in. So again, when in Rome, click the Icicle Spear. So that is exactly what ya boy is going to do. As we see, he brings in the Hisuian Quillfish right here. Shout out to the guy in chat who goes, "Go Stormtide," thanks. He's going to bring the Hisuian Quillfish right here as I go for the Icicle Spear. He is going to get Intimidate off, but even during Intimidate, we're still doing decent damage. A solid 7% per hit is pretty good. We only get the 4, so not amazing, but not bad either. So now I'm thinking, alright, well, I mean, I could just bring in Manectric here, but I'm just going to set up a sub. Screw it. I think I can 1v1 on this thing. We see he's going to go for the Taunt, which is a bit annoying, because now I can't DD. He's going to bring the Ninetales back in. I am Intimidated. Now this thing's going to get its Snow Defense boost again, so we're doing even less. But there is a chance we could get off some big damage on this guy. Because I'm behind a sub, and now that he switched in, and we got the 5 hits there too. So now that I'm behind a sub, I can guarantee get damage off on this guy, which is good for me. And this thing is going to be nice and low. He can break my sub all he wants. I can get up a free little Icicle Spear right here, do some decent damage, bring this Alola Ninetales nice and low. And now if he is not running Heavy Duty Boots, if we get the Stealth Rocks up, he is gone. Which I'm trying to remember. I don't think we've had Rocks up yet this game. Has Tinglu hit the field? Tinglu is not. Tinglu has my Rocks. But I'm pretty sure he is Heavy Duty Boots that we'll see later. So a little bit unfortunate, but this thing being low is great for my team. It's great. So once again, I can just freely swap out Kyurem, bring in Scizor. It is 100% my play. And now, again, the defog is free to just get rid of the Veil. He can bring in the Quillfish all he wants. I don't be caring. I don't be caring one bit. And no Intimidate on the Kyurem is very nice for me. I do pull a hard switch right here, which is a bit of a misplay on my part. I probably should have U-turned. He's going to set the spikes. I probably should have U-turned right here. I didn't, but misplays happen, I suppose. It's unfortunate because this extra chip damage would have been really nice for Kyurem. Because we see, if we go for the Icicle Spear as he Terra Psychics, if we get 5 hits, he's done. We only get the 4. We only get the 4. So we are gonna, he's actually gonna draw First Blood, take out my Kyurem. If we got the U-turn chip with Scizor, we probably KO that here. And if we got the 5 hits with Kyurem, we definitely KO that there. So a little bit unfortunate, a bit of a misplay. Instead of going for the hard switch, I probably should have U-turned there for a little bit of chip damage. Live and learn. It's just a misplay. It's what can you do? Whatever. But we see he is not going to get chunked down. He's at 8%. So I'm like, all right, I can just freely get rid of this defog the spike away and be good. Because now that thing is dead to Stealth Rocks as well, or a spike, and we are chilling. He brings in the Toph here, so I don't really have a way to weaken this thing now because my Kyurem is gone. He's going to reset his rocks again, which kind of blows for me. I don't really like that very much. But he's actually going to stay in here, which I think is a bit of a misplay. Because he does not have any reason to stay in and risk his Hippowdon on a water type attack. Like, yeah, he gets the Whirlwind off, maybe trying to get something like the Manectric again. But, like, now he's Toxic again, and the Alola Ninetales is dead on switching if we can get these hazards up. And I got my Ting-Lu on the Whirlwind, so I'm like, I'm going to go for my rocks. I want those up for Charizard. I want those up for the Alola Ninetales if it's not boost, which I'm pretty sure it is. I want those up very, very badly. And we see he's going to Whirlwind again, and he's going to get Sneasler. So I'm okay with this because I can just freely U-turn. Like, HP on Sneasler does not matter. HP on Sneasler does not matter at all. Because my end game plan is just fake out, close combat, / poison jab everything. So Sneasler could bleed 1 HP for all I care. I could not care less not having HP on Sneasler. And chip damage on this thing and toxic damage on this thing is huge for me. So my play 100% is just to click U-turn. And I do a solid 15%. Again, Rocky Helmet chip does not matter. Could not care less. Now I'm going to bring my Ting-Lu back in. As we see, he's going to go ahead and click the Earthquake. Smart play, trying to get rid of my Caesar. It is the biggest threat to his team looking at his squad. It is the biggest threat to his team. But my Ting-Lu's going to come in, be able to eat that hit, get a little bit of HP back. And this thing is taking more and more and more and more toxic damage, which is so good for me. We see he is going to be Boots on the little Ninetales, not taking the rock, so that's a bit unfortunate for me. But 100% of the time, my play is to go ahead and bring in my Scizor here. As we see, he's just going to go ahead and click the Toxic, which I'm immune to. And right here, I'm thinking, okay, if he wants to set the Veil, I should KO him. Because realistically, if he sets the Veil here and I defog, that's fine. But I kind of really want the rocks and the Spike Up for Quillfish as well as Charizard. So that's kind of where my thought process is at. That's kind of where my thought process is at the moment. So I'm just like, I'm just going to go ahead and BP, click a Bullet Punch, KO the Ninetales. Now I don't have to worry about snow anymore. So now the only snow is going to be up on my side. So I have the way to change that weather and everything. So he's going to bring in Boomy. Boomy the Extra Drill comes in. And I'm thinking, okay, if he wants to Rapid Spin those rocks away, that is fine. That is fine with me. I'm going to go ahead and U-turn out, do a nice chunk. Like, again, I have no attack on my Scizor, and that did 20%. Like, that's pretty solid to resist a hit. I know Extra Drill's not very bulky, but still. My play is 100% to bring in my Ting-Lu, and let's get those rocks back up, please. He should never stay in here. He should fear the Earthquake. He does. But now this thing's going to be able to come in for free because there are no hazards up anymore. And unfortunately for me, we're going to see, as I'm going to swap out here into my Scizor, we're going to see, unfortunately, that his last move he hasn't revealed is the Pain Split. So he is Taunt, Spikes, Terra Blast, Pain Split. Bit of a weird set, but honestly not bad into my team. It kind of works out. And a Terra Psychic in the Sneasler does hurt quite a bit. I don't be liking that very much. But now my play is 100% to just click Roost. And this thing again, taking toxic damage, so good for my team. And the Roost is just so nice, because now I'm back up at full. Like, yeah, his Hisuian Quillfish got healed, but now this thing's taking toxic damage. This thing's taking Stealth Rock damage. It's set the same, which doesn't really do anything to my Scizor. And I'm like, well, I doubt Bullet Punch KOs from this range because I have no attack investment, and this thing is insanely bulky. But I might as well go for it, because then he also is going to be taking extra toxic damage. That's my plan 100%. That's my play 100%. So I go for it. Does a solid 15%, a little bit more attack investment, and that probably could have ended up KOing. But we see we're going to take Rocky Helmet Chip, and he's going to get a nice lack off. But again, taking toxic damage. It's so good for Sneasler. I need this thing gone for Sneasler. It makes it so much easier for me. He's going to keep slacking off. That is fine by me. I don't be caring. He's taking more toxic damage. My plan is just to keep spamming Bullet Punch. I don't really care. He's going to Whirlwind right here and bring in my Mega Manectric. Again, don't care. Like, honestly, like, Mega Manectric is great into this team. But at the same time, like, this thing taking toxic is so good for me. Because now he's on 23%, and a Flamethrower has a chance to KO if he's not max Padef. So I was thinking about going for it, but I think the smarter play here is to just bring Scizor back in. He's going to bring in this Quillfish, which is fine by me, because I think my HP on my Scizor is more important to me than his Quillfish getting HP back. But he makes a good play there and goes for the taunt. If I would have gone for BP right there, we would have been kind of chilling. He's going to Pain Split, get a tiny little bit of HP back. As I'm going to U-turn right here, bring in my Mega Manectric once again. And now this thing dies to any one hit. This thing is so low that if it takes Toxic plus Stealth Rock, Flamethrower is going to pick up the KO. So he doesn't really have a clean switch in here. So his best play, honestly, is just to sack the Hisuian Quillfish. As I go for Flamethrower here on the off chance he did decide to bring in the Powdon. The Walking Wake comes in, and this taking Stealth Rock damage tells me he is not Boots, so he is more than likely Choice Scarf, just based off of the fact that he brought it in so confidently. And I'm like, Manectric has done its job. I don't really need Manectric for these last three. Yes, last four. Manectric would be really nice for the Charizard, but I think that getting confirmation that this thing is Scarf is better for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just let it die. I'm going to click T-Bolt here. As you see, he's going to Flip Turn, and it is going to KO me. But that thing is going to take more Stealth Rock chip when it comes back in. He's going to bring this guy in. But again, Stealth Rock damage, Toxic damage. So I'm like, I cannot let this thing live. Again, HP on Sneasler is not important to me. I'm going to take Stealth Rock. I'm going to take Sand. But I calced it. Max HP, max defense takes a minimum of 14% from U-turn. So my play 100% of the time is to click Yui. And the stupid Hippo is gone. Which Sneasler looks so good now. So good into their team. 100%. And like Ethan says, the raid boss is down. So I'm going to bring in Scizor right here, fully expecting them to bring in the Charizard. Like, it just is a fact. Like, I have to assume the Charizard comes in right here. As we actually see, they bring in the Excadrill, which kind of surprised me a little bit. They're going to go ahead and SD right here. I'm going to get back to full. And, like, I don't know I want to look up the exact calc. I want to see... I'm going to look up the damage calc because I'm actually curious. Does a Scizor live a +3 EQ from an Excadrill? Let's take a look. So if I'm max HP and max defense, Impish Nature with lefties. No, not Leaf Guard. Sure, Iron Fist, whatever. And then if I am leftovers, an Excadrill, he's a Sand Sweeper, a +4 Earthquake does OHKO me. Okay, so he needed +4 to KO me, because a +2 Earthquake only does 70 to 83 min, and we are well above that. So unless he crits, we're guaranteed living. We're guaranteed living. So he had to go for a second SD right here, so I'm like, okay, he's got 2 turns of Sand left. 2 turns. 2 turns of Sand left. So, what is stopping me from clicking U-turn right here? Because he cannot kill me right now. I know that. He cannot kill me. And I think I calced this during the game. So I'm like, I could U-turn out into Sneasler right now. Get off my fake out. And this thing, there's no way he can Rapid Spin at the moment. Because he has to SD again to KO both Scizor and Tinglu. He has to SD to KO both of them. And then Sand's going to expire in 2 turns, so we wouldn't have enough Sand turns anyway to outspeed and take out Sneasler anyway. So, what is stopping me from just U-turning out right now into Sneasler, clicking Fake Out this next turn, because he's going to only have 1 turn of Sand left, and then we get our Unburden activated, and then going in. So in my mind, I'm like, this is my chance. This is the turn where I need to U-turn right now into Sneasler, because I know he outspeeds me because of Sand, so I'm going to get a slow U-turn off. He's going to SD again, and I'm going to be able to get this thing down nice and low, and be able to bring in my Sneasler. So Sneasler is in, the queen, the captain of the Arcanine Pokemon Club is in. As we see, he's going to breed down to 1 turn of Sand. We know that Hippowdon has the Rocky Helmet, so because of that, we know it's not Smooth Rock to have 8 turns of Sand. We know it's not. We're going to get our normal gem Fake Out off. And we see he's going to flinch. And Sand is gone. Which means we are now the fastest thing on the field. We are guaranteed the fastest thing on the field. Unless he, is speed boosting on the Walking Wake. Which he very well could be before Choice Scarf. I don't know. He very well could be. But even then, if he does go Walking Wake, he has to go Zard first, and if he goes Zard first, it dies. And then a combination of Scizor, Linhardt, and Frederick beat Walking Wake. So I think we're in the clear as long as we can get a couple of rolls. So obviously, like, I get my flinch off. This thing does not have Sane anymore, and his +3 means nothing to me. Close combat KOs the Excadrill. It goes down. Again, HP on Sneasler does not matter. Defense lowering on Sneasler does not matter. We see he's going to go out into the Aang. He is at 76%. And I believe I did this calc during the game, and I believe this was like a 46% chance. Like roughly a 46% chance. So almost a 50-50 whether or not this KO'd from this range. I'm just going to double check that calc. So if I was Adamant Sneasler, if I am Adamant Sneasler max attack into the Walking Wake, and if he is no HP investment whatsoever, close combat does 69 to 81. He's at currently 76%. So that means a close combat is about a 44% chance. So yeah, I was close. I said 46. Close combat has a 44% chance to Oko. But if we don't get it, it might be a little bit dicey. Because I think I can still win this because of Ting Lu's Rock Slide. And this thing taking, what's it called? Stealth Rock. But it gets a little bit more dicey. It gets a little bit more dicey. But there's not really a universe where this thing can just spam attacks into me. It has to constantly roost. Because a Rock Slide would KO it, and I can just freely, bring in my Scizor and U-turn out on this thing, because I guarantee live 1 with Terra Water. So my play is 100% to just try and KO it. So if we get this 44% chance right now, we are just basically guaranteed the champion. If we don't get this 46% right now, we still look good, because it'll be at least low enough to where a Bullet Punch or U-turn will guaranteed kill, especially with Terra Water. But it does get a little bit more dicey. But I'm pretty sure we're still good. But either way, if we get this KO right now, this 44% chance, we are guaranteed the NBA champion of Season 4. And your Arcanine Pokemon Club pick up the KO on the Walking Wake. He brings in the Charizard Y, taking 50% from Stealth Rocks. We are the fastest thing on this goddamn field. And your Arcanine Pokemon Club, your Arcanine PC, pick up that hashtag Dubsky, and we are officially the NBA champions, baby. My first ever Pokemon Draft League championship. We were able to pick it up. My first Draft League back in years, dude. Y'all know, I have not played Pokemon Draft League since Sun and Moon. Not even Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Base Sun and Moon. So it's been a long time coming. Yes, I started the DAPL first, but my plan was to come back with this draft league because Ethan invited me back to it. Ethan Nahaima runs this league and everything. But I jumped in the DAPL first, and we made it to quarterfinals, which I think for a first time back, pretty respectable. But how about for the second time back? The second draft league we've done in 6-7 years, picking up the championship. My first ever draft league championship. And I could not be happier. I want to thank you guys so much for the support all season long. Sneasler, my absolute captain, my GOAT, my queen, Lucina, picking up that late game clean for us, picking up that broom, a little bit of sweeping action. That's what we like to see. Oh, God, I would draft this thing a million times over. I love this thing. I could not be happier, man. We are officially the champions of the NBA. I could not be happier. I could not be more proud of our performance. GG's to Stormtide. They had played great. They had a great run as well. It was a pleasure to be able to play them in the finals and everything. But it was even more of a pleasure to be able to win this championship for you guys, be able to show off all my games throughout the season to you guys. And it was a pleasure to be able to play for you guys, and all your support meant the world to me and stuff. So I just can't thank y'all enough. I'm ecstatic. I hope I made some believers out of like the Pokemon draft and everything, like Mega Manectric. I think that Pokemon's so underrated, it's not even funny. Slowking was a defensive backbone, same with Ting Lu. Sneasler and Kyurem are just, oh my god, they're just such a good 1-2 punch. Just such a good 1-2 punch, dude. It's like that off. Like, I kind of just said balls to the wall, screw it with my draft at first. I was like, you know what? I just want Sneasler and Kyurem. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. And honestly, they were my two best team members throughout the entire season. And like Sneasler again, MVP. MV freaking P, dude. Like, easily the playoff MVP. Picking up the sweep in the championship. That is what we like to be seeing. Your Arcanine Pokemon Club in their first season as an official team, our first season back in Pokemon Draft League in the NBA, are picking up that championship, baby. So that is what we like to see. So I can think of no better way to close out this season and this game than with this. I want to thank you guys again so much for your support on the Draft League content. Definitely leave a like on this. Make sure to subscribe if you're new around here, especially if you enjoy the Draft League content, because I believe there is a league coming up right around the corner. So I really appreciate all the support on that. It lets me know you guys want me to keep doing it. But with that, the only thing I have left to say, and it's Arcanine. Arcanine PC. We're by far the greatest team that the world has ever seen. Peace.